Okay, so let's go to some news first. So JYP is apparently going to debut a six-member boy group called Kickflip, and they're going to debut in January. It's a kind of a unique concept because they're going to combine skateboarding, the skateboarding culture, and street dance. So, like hip hop, street hip hop. All members, apparently, allegedly, all members have professional level skateboarding skills, so they will show a performance that's kind of different because they are going to highly utilize skateboarding. So they're trying to sort of, as you know, skateboarding is a huge culture in it not a discipline in the US, and it's very very niche, but it's also connected to many other markets, like they sing a certain type of music, they have their own style, they have their own aesthetics. So I find it interesting, and I find it's a welcome thing to have something different. My gut is that many of these companies are really grunge, yes, very grunge. So many management companies are really struggling to release a huge boy group, and that is all because of BTS. The one error that people are making is that they're always measuring the success, the market, the public, the fans. They're always measuring the success of a boy group versus by comparing them to BTS. And that, I think, the minute that you do that, it's kind of like you're gonna fail. Because so I think one way of sort of moving away from that is creating a boy group with a really different kind of a different kind of concept, and I think they got it with this one. So I'm very interested. I don't know how much people will resonate with it. As you know, the majority of the market of boy groups, of K-pop idols, basically they're women. So being able to, so I don't know how much of this image will resonate with girls and with women. So let's see. I don't think they're going to necessarily appeal to the general public because I don't think this is something that like GP of Korea would resonate with. So they're definitely targeting super fans in this one. So it is very, because it's very niche, right? Call that's that. I definitely agree with you that there could be some reservations, primarily because it's a really different concept. It's grunge, it's skateboarding, not necessarily something that uh, that is consistent with the boy next door kind of image that South Korea likes. But let's see, right? So I'm definitely interested, and I'm like I would be, it's if I had a management company, this is not necessarily a group that I would launch, but it's this is a concept that I would look forward to. So the injuries, oh, I could just imagine. Sounds like gimmick to me, Sue Richard said. Just focus on quality music. That's one way of looking at it. Hoan said skateboard and sing the same time. Um, maybe, but maybe they're going to execute some like minor moves while singing, and then there are dancers that will be using the skateboard more intently. I know that. So yeah, I think it's more like a skater boy kind of concept. Someone mentioned that. Lara said skater boy. So Bea said, I found BTS when they were already huge, but I still found them organically. So when they announce a group like this, it doesn't really catch my attention. I need to hear the music first, not the concept. Yeah. You're more Bea, you belong to the kind of fan that really looks after the music. Like you're like I want the music first. And you're not the majority. You're definitely not a majority. We are definitely not a majority. So many of the people here, we don't belong to the majority. Namhar said skateboarding was at the Olympics and there were female and males. Yes, and music and lyrics move me first. I think I'll pass on this group. Just doesn't vibe well. Hoan said, "Me too. I'm more into music." Yeah, I think I, I, and I'm very proud to say this. I think majority of the people that are tuned in to my live stream and to my videos and in my Patreon, you're not like the general public. And I mean that in a good way. So I am not surprised with your inputs. The idea, Angie said, the idea is interesting enough that I definitely want to check it out. But if it's too novelty, I probably wouldn't stick around. Jess said, interested to see the skater boy music direction 90s punk skater boy, 2000 pop punk skater boy to 2010 hip hop and punk skater boy. Let's see. So, this is their teaser image. This is them. No faces yet. So, let's see. So, very much the grunge, I would say 2010 skater boy hip hop kind of image, not necessarily your 90s punk. So there you have it. Let's see. I'm excited to see them actually. Lindsay's V, are you personally think that I'll give them a chance? But if they can sing, I don't think that they can make. Well, definitely, yeah. Short lived said TXT had a good concept. SM, as outside of the, so SM is going to launch their new girl group. This is two of the members. So they've actually already sort of published a some of their dance practice. So this is two of the members. This is one, Kim Oju, and one of she apparently she looks like Won Young Ha of IVE. So she trained with ESPA, and she was supposed to be in the ESPA lineup, but I guess she didn't. So this the two images below, that's Won Young, just to make it clear, and then the two images above, that's her. So they're saying that she looks like Won Young. Okay, so she's 2004. That'll make her 20 years old. And this is another member, Su Jin. She looks very, very tall. So 2005, 18 years old. There is no date yet as to when they are going to launch, but this is the rumored name, Crucialize. That's straight Won Young. So just wanted to make it clear, the two images below, that's Won Young. It's the two images above, that's her. I just put it there to compare their look. So Homan said K-pop is giving me a headache. They keep throwing out groups. Um, all right. So you're trying to Google which one are you trying to Google? So this is the second one. She's really tall, and apparently she's like a model or something. So this could be the name because fans already found the trademark, the name that SM is trademarking. So this is a possibility, Crucialize. Okay, and then they're also going to launch a trot group. So there are apparently four members, and one of the members they said is like a former idol, and one is like older than usual, like 26 years old or something like that, so definitely older than the others that debut. And yes, most likely this will be considered sixth gen. Yeah, most likely considered sixth gen. I am sure, and Angelic, I am sure New Jeans will shout stolen concept about this group. Oh, for this one, for Crucialize, it could be. um, Rhea said, "I'll check them out and give them a chance, but been hard, it's been hard to like other groups since BTS. BTS really set the bar high. I can't believe. I mean, they set the bar high not just for K-pop, but just for other musical acts in general. That's what I have found out. It's just that it's so hard for me to like new acts because I'm always looking for the substance. I'm always looking for the narrative, the lore, the visual appeal, the storytelling, and it's so hard to find an artist like that. So they really spoiled a lot of things for me. But anyway, so Trot. um, they will, I don't know how much they are going to appeal internationally, but I do think it's a good idea. I think they are going to make it big in South Korea. Locally, they probably are going to make it big because Trot is a traditional Korean sound. So my gut is that they're actually trying to compete with the Wonyoung. Jess said a trot group is the smartest thing they've done in years. This is Woo competition. Yeah, that is my god. They're trying to compete with him, and I think having like a bunch of younger guys, I think that's going to do them really good. The Bio Explorer. Hi, Bio Explorer. We're just going through some of the news. And next is Source Music is going to launch a new girl group. It's actually Source Music and Pledis. And a lot of people are like expressing that they don't like the idea because Les Seraphim is just starting out. Um, Before I go to Source Music, for Pledis, I think it kind of makes sense because their number one group, which is 17, is going to start, the members are going to start serving the military. So they do need to replace that group. They need to earn, they need some revenue coming in. So naturally, they're going to want to launch a new group. So that kind of makes sense. For Source Music, I think I am going to discuss Le Seraphim later. And once I discuss it, it's going to make more sense why they are actually launching a new girl group right now, because the strategy that they use for Le Seraphim is kind of a long tail strategy, but more sustainable. So I think it makes sense. In just what they're actually doing is using the first 2 years as a training build up phase for the group. So Le Seraphim in the last 2 years has sort of just been building up in three areas: performance, creative control, and their own market. So now they're kind of ready to go global. So now that they're ready to go global, I do think that it would be wise for them to start training a new group so that by the time Les Seraphim is entering a new phase in their career, then they have a group that will be ready to go global as well. Um, Throwing them out like hotcakes. Yeah, well, I you know once in a while you'll have like a group that would really go big, right? That is the hope of many management companies. Angelic said with SVT 17 and listing, Pledis will focus on TWS because they have an awful history with girl group. I heard about that. Okay, YG is also launching a new idol group. They didn't say whether it's a boy band or a girl group. Other people are saying it's a girl group and not a boy band. But regardless, it's going to be Mickey saying hi, Debak. He is here. So no word yet whether it's a boy group or a girl group, but they are definitely going to follow the same hip hop genre, the same hip hop concept that YG has been consistently pursuing. I do think that this time he's going to follow through with this because I think one of the things that happened is that he learned his lesson that launching a group like once every 4 years isn't going to cut it anymore because the market is just like more getting more and more saturated with boy groups, and he's like having a harder time building up a group. So what's happening is that he's like relying on one group heavily each generation, and that's not sustainable for a business. And I think he learned that lesson now. So I think he's going to do just about what just about every other management company is doing, and that is to launch many groups so that he can have more sources of revenue. YG doesn't even have a fourth gen. They do not, correct. Yeah, they don't have a fourth gen. I wish they would pursue quality over quantity, Hachan said. The funny thing is that people, YG fans or fans of the groups from YG insist that they are pursuing quality. That's why they are not um, launching. as many groups as other companies. Elizabeth said SMNJYP is like buying a pre-measured cake mix. Girls bake for 15 minutes and the cupcake all look the same as the package. New Jeans and Mama Roach tainted the well on girl groups. Okay, next is 17 because they are going to start enlisting and one of the members is slated to concentrate in perform in promoting in China. Apparently the strategy that they're going to do is do units. So they'll do units until all the members complete their military service. That's the strategy. But I think one of the things that they learned from BTS is that you do need to plan this thing. If you want to be able to come back strong, you do need to plan it. And so they're doing that. BTS decided to sort of serve at the same time, right around the same time, to shorten the time that they are not together. And then they did solo activities. But for 17, it seems that the strategy that they're going to be pursuing is by doing unit groups until the rest of the members complete their military service. YG lack Bimo said YG lack of songwriters and producers. They depend on Teddy, the Black Label majority shareholder and CEO. That is true. YG was very open. Yan Yan Sok was actually very open about the fact that they rely very much on local producers or local producer, just one, and that is steady. So, but with Baby Monsters, they've started working with other groups, with other producers. So maybe let's see. I mean, they started working with GD. Maybe he's gonna get involved more in songwriting for the other groups. Other groups that they are going to be releasing, Nora, I don't know what that is, X Love, A Bloom. This is the former members of 50/50, Polarix, and Close Your Eyes. So these are from smaller agencies. Um, so that those are the ones that are sort of more known. Like the companies have already announced that they are going to do this, so there's a bit more certainty on this one. I do have some predictions though. I meant Close Your Eyes. Yeah, Close Your Eyes. I don't know. Like I'm not really sure which companies they're going to be coming from, which companies are managing this groups, but this is the list of some more of the new groups that are launching. I know that a lot of people felt that there's like the girl group market is oversaturated. And as I've said, I think it's primarily because of BTS. Like a lot of people, when a new boy group launches, they keep on comparing their success to BTS. And that's just like, that's suicide. Like you can't compare it with BTS. So that's why it's harder for them to launch a new boy group. Um, I do feel though I know that Big Hit is has launched an audition for a new boy group, so probably they're going to launch a new boy group either this year, late this year or next year. But Big Hit's probably going to do that. Also, I mean TXT is like what 5 years old, 6 years old, so it's just about time for them to launch a new boy group. Um, how the concept is going to be very interesting though, the kind of sound, how it's going to go, it's going to be very interesting. Okay, let me see if you have questions. Jazzy J said, I'm going to join the fanship with Polarix and Close Your Eyes. Close Your Eyes is will be under Hybe. Oh, okay. Close Your Eyes will be under Hybe. Which company? Which is it? Tours? Which company? Um, Pinayon say GG have more general public appeal, but the audience is fickle. They don't have correct. So they do have a GP. They have more a GP appeal, but not a lot of super fans. And as you know, super fans is where the money is. So um, you don't know yet. Okay. Prediction, of course, we all know that BTS is going to return in 2025, but I think they're going to do something really, really different. A lot of people are counting on a new album and a tour, and I think they're going to do that. I just doubt whether they are going to do that in 2025. I think the first on their list will be the celebration of the best moment in life. This is Suga's magnum opus, and it's a very important part in their discography because it's really the album or the series or the era that really launched them to stardom. This is where everything started. So I think this is a very important thing for them to celebrate. I think they have been planning something for a long time. I think this is something that they planned even before they decided to sign an extension of their contract. So, and I think this is like one of the things that they wanted to prepare for early. So, my guess is that RM already hinted they will change away from Dynamite and Butter. I do think I think it's going to be something we have never expected. That for sure. Like, I think once they make their comeback, all of us are going to just be shocked and go like, where the hell did I come from? In a good way, in a good way. So I'm anticipating it, but I think their first on the list would be the 10th anniversary of the best moment in life. I think it's going to be a big anniversary. It's going There's going to be a special activity, and I think this special activity they have already been working on since even before they started um, enlisting in the military. I think there's going to be a movie or a docu. There's going to be an global event, and I think they're going to pursue individual storylines, just develop the storylines that they have started. I don't know if you have a copy of the books on the best moment in life, but I think there's going to be some sort of a continuation, and I think they're going to do a special album. I think they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do like a semi-residency for this one, but I think this is their first on the list. Like this is one of the first activities that they're going to be doing. That's going to also give them time to develop the album and to prepare for the tour. I don't know. I'm sure that many of you are athletes or you know a little bit about health, but they do need to get back into shape. And when I say get back into shape, I don't necessarily mean just lose weight. I think they just need to get their body used to performing again and performing like a 3 hour concert or a 2.5 hour concert. So that takes time. That's not going to be like 3 months. So if they come back June, I don't think like, okay, September, we're going to start a world tour. I think they need a lot more preparation than that. And then over and above that would be the actual songwriting. And then just to get used to being seven again, right? I think the mere fact that they have been doing individual activities for such a long time, they're going to have to readjust to being seven again. And this is not going to be the same seven people. I mean, at their core, it's the same seven people, but of course, they have all evolved. They grew up. So I think there's going to be adjustment period and they will allow themselves time to get used to that again. Bang Shiuk had said it was already underway, even if BTS had not resigned, so it started a while back for 10th year anniversary. Yeah, yeah, I do remember him saying, I think it was in the Bloomberg interview, he said that if BTS did not sign with Big Hit again, they still would have celebrated the best moment, the most beautiful moment the most beautiful moment. It's just not, it just wouldn't be with Big Hit. So it was like BTS's plan. That is their plan. They wanted to do that. And Big Hit is just fulfilling it because BTS decided to re-sign with them. Okay, someone's asking me a question. Fairlane, what do you think about residency in Vegas? This is what I have been campaigning for for a long time. Just do a residency. Even if it's a short residency, for example, if they do like like even just 2 months in Allegiant, it's going to be a different kind of residency, a 2 month residency in Allegiant. That's going to give the boys like some sort of semblance of normalcy, right? And then it's going to and then the whole like the area, the state itself, the city is actually designed for something like that, so they can do a lot more than just do a concert. It can be like a 2 month festival, and they can do side activities for individual members and stuff like that. So I think personally is going to be more flexible. The unfortunate thing would be that then they will skip on going to different cities, so that is going to force a lot of fans to have to travel if they want to watch BTS. But I think, I hope they do it, even if it is not a long-term residency, even if it is just 2 months or 3 months or something like that. And then it's better for them to be able to, because they can plan different activities around it if they are just in one city. And I think for their bodies as well, like for their physical bodies, I think it's just better to be in one place, so there's some sort of normalcy in their routine. Pink Crystal, hello. They do residency. I am moving to Las Vegas. You and I both. You and I both, Cyan. I'm going to watch as many shows as I can. I do not care. I'm going to watch as many concerts as I can. So most would have to travel anyway. You are correct. Yeah, most would have to travel, and it's like, for many, if you're in the US, it's really even better to travel in Las Vegas, because it's really meant, like, the city is meant for something like this. Like, people actually go to Las Vegas. So I hope they do it. This is going to give them, again, it's going to give them a chance to plan other activities other than just the concert itself. But let's see, right? Let's see. I wouldn't even mind like doing a residency in one place per region, or per region, like for one for Europe, one for the US, and then Asia, right? I think that'll be okay. Didn't Hybe release an investors info letter saying BTS was going on a 60 stadium world tour that would perform for 3.5 million? Um, they, I yeah, they did. It wasn't exact. It wasn't an exact number. I'm not too far from Las Vegas. Drive or fly 1.5 hour. Oh my god, I'm going to move to Las Vegas, I swear. Okay, so I am also seeing like a major Hollywood project for BTS. I don't know if it's going to be an animated movie, or they're going to do a score. I don't know, but I see a major Hollywood project for them. I think Hybe America is going to make a major headway in 2025, and I think instrumental in that push is BTS. Um, as powerful um, as popular and as powerful as Scooter Braun is, there's still a lot of limitation because it's just one person versus the entire industry, right? But I think having BTS there, he will be able to make some major push, and that's going to benefit other groups from Hybe moving forward. Um, Other than BTS, I think Lisa is going to tour. I think the fan, like, he's having a fan tour, like a fan meeting tour. He's going to different countries, and I think that is to test the market and test herself as well, whether she can sell it, the size of the venues that she can sell, the kind of performance that she can do. I think of the four members of Blackpink. She's really the one who's showing more tenacity and energy and actual movement to drive a sustainable solo career. Jimin in Barbie 2, please. JR, I hope that will cut on their travel time will be less difficult and demanding. The Bio Explorer said yes. In addition to professional stadium, many universities have big stadiums. Ours has 85,000 with only regular seats, more on the field. Rachel said, I know I'm selfish, but I really don't want them to become Hollywood-ish. Am I looking at this wrong? No, I think they've Bang Shiuk and Scooter Braun already expressed their vision. Well, it is Bang Shiuk's vision that Scooter Braun is trying to help implement or execute. And the vision is to create their own industry. They they've they've said that. I think Scooter Braun in his interview with Bloomberg already said that Bang Shiuk wants to create a new industry outside of Hollywood, and I think that is a good thing. I think that's the right move because it's just Hollywood is just so cliquish and also dirty. Not everybody, not everybody. There are some really good people in there. Um, but we know this all of this like controversies that are coming up. So we know that it's not a totally pleasant industry. So they've already they've already Scooter Braun already expressed that Bang Shi wants to create his own industry. Okay, I do think that Adore is going to rebrand. I don't know if they are going to launch a new group, a new soloist, but they are definitely going to rebrand. But they definitely will launch a group or an act this year. I've already touched on this. SM's new boy band is actually the Trot group. I do think that JYP is going to launch a new girl group. I've always had like reservations about JYP in the way that he is unable to sustain many of these groups. Like I think he just got lucky with one. I'm no I'm so harsh, but like he I think he struck gold with ITZY, but he wasn't able to push through. To date, I think ITZY should be bigger than they are. The girls are so talented. They are so freaking talented. So I don't really understand why they aren't bigger now. Um, and then he launched NMIX, who are also very, very talented. The girls are so talented, but they all of these groups he has on his hand, and he's unable to maximize and optimize their potential. And then, but I do remember JYP talking about his difference, the difference between him and Bang Shi. He said that he loses interest fast. He said that Bang Shi-yuk could stay on something until it works. Like he will focus on something until it works. He would work on something and then go to something new and then go to something new and then go to something new. And I think that is the reason why he has been unable to sustain groups. I think with um, with Stray Kids, the reason Stray Kids has been able to sustain their own group is because they are producing themselves. Like they are the producers of their own creatives. They drive the ship, so it's them. I hope that JYP makes the most out of the groups that he already has. But I think that's what he's going to do. I feel like he feels that NMIX and ITZY, this is the biggest that they can become, and he's just going to go to another, like move on to another group. V Hart said he can start groups, but he doesn't know how to maintain them. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. NMIX have high skill. Bimo said NMIX have high skill, but they got not good enough songs. JYP limited their genre of music. It's not good for them. Pinoyonse said J Hope wants to be in LA to hang with Fairlane. I ran away though, unfortunately. Oh, by the way, I had to dream about Jungkook, and it's such a funny one, but I'll share that in a bit. Um, Blackpink is going to have a reunion. I don't think they're going to go on a world tour yet. I don't think they're going to go on a world tour yet. I have this thought that they're waiting for BTS to go on a world tour, and then they're going to go on a world tour. But I think they're going to reunite in 2025. Largely, I've said this before. I'll just say it again. I think Blackpink, their reunion as a group will highly depend on how successful their individual careers are. I think they will every now and then come back to like do a project together. But if one or two members become really, really huge, I think they will pursue their individual careers more than anything. And I could understand that because they do need to sort of think about the sustainability of their individual careers once they grow older, right? I'm assuming that some of them are going to become mothers, some of them are going to get married and stuff. So um Pinayonse was so shocked when Hitman Bang played guitar on stage with JYP for Weavers Fest. Wherever J Hope goes, Jin will kidnap him. Lara said Blackpink hearts are not in the same place. They want different things and agenda. Yeah, I think it's more. I mean, let's be a bit more upfront about the fact that they are women, so there's like a biological clock, and I think some of the girls want to get married, right? So I think they're thinking about that, and but I'm not saying that they're not in love with what they're doing. I think they love what they're doing. They love music. They love entertainment. It's just that they need to find a way on how to do what they are doing and still be able to like get married and have children. So I think that's why they're planning well, and that is a sign of intelligence, by the way, right? I mean, you don't just go into something without planning things. So I think they're planning for that, and rightfully so. I mean, that shouldn't be taken against them. uh, so yeah, I think some of them would want to get married and have children but still continue what they're doing, so they're planning it well. And one way to really plan it is to have a strong personal career, individual career. Okay, so that is it for the news. Do you have questions before I move on to the Melon and Hanto controversy? When I'm sad, I just search videos and performances of JYP. I mean, JYP has been able to hit gold mine in some of his talents. Like, for example, I think Juno is a gold mine for JYP, because Juno has been able to successfully transition. Well, he didn't transition. He's sort of doing the same thing, but he's a respected actor now. He won the Baeksang Award. I think it's like the Oscars of South Korea, and he's the very first idol to do that. There's this because in South Korea they look at idols as a lower art, inferior art, yeah, that an inferior art than acting. So not a lot of groups or not a lot of idols are actually accepted as a real actor, but Juno was able to do that. So he's sort of just running like he is a like it's a self-sustaining career. Juno is the what Juno has. It's a self-sustaining career. So he hit gold mine with that. I think he did the same thing with with Twice. He hit gold mine in Twice, and Stray Kids. So I think he's smart to let Stray Kids do their own thing. Like they're managing themselves, they're creating their own music, deciding on their own, like all of those things. He's more a little bit more hands on and Twice. But I mean, these groups are like Stray Kids is almost 7 years old, if not 7 years old. So and Twice is approaching 10 years. So I do think that he is aware that he needs to produce and the next big thing so that he can have a cash cow, right? Um, okay. BTS wanting to get married will also be a long discussion and planning internally. I'm surprised we're still not getting a new fight boy group, or if they will wait for BTS to settle in and TXT to enlist. Yeah, I think yes. So for Big Hit, yeah, I'm a little surprised that they haven't, but they did launch an audition. So I think that's the next step.